What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time, we're going to be taking a look at Casino, Martin Scorsese's remake of his own movie, Goodfellas. The only difference is that Casino tells a story about how the mob had a control over Las Vegas in the early years of Las Vegas and the whole gambling culture. So yeah, this review is going to be as brief as I possibly can make it. And yeah, go from there. So Casino. Overall, I like this movie. I remember watching this movie as a youngster. The scene that stood out to me the most as a kid is the scene where Joe Pesci's character and his brothers and his brother Dominic get brutalized by aluminum baseball bats in the cornfield and then get buried alive while still breathing. And also, fun trivia fact. Now, I've mentioned this in my Raging Bull review and my Goodfellas review. There's this underlying little storyline going on where Joe Pesci's character always gets the better of whatever character Frank Vincent is playing at that particular moment in time. Frank Vincent, of course, played Billy Bats in Goodfellas and had a role in Raging Bull, and in both times he gets brutalized by Joe Pesci. Casino is the movie where a character played by Frank Vincent finally gets the best of a character played by Joe Pesci. So when you look at it from behind the scenes little thing, it's a cool thing. When you watch it in the movie, it's probably the most horrific scene I've ever seen in a gangster movie. Yeah, as a kid, just made me fucking squirm watching these two guys get beaten to death by baseball bats, then buried alive in the desert in a cornfield. So yeah, I'll always remember Casino for that particular scene because I think that's the one of the most memorable scenes in the whole movie. Like, you don't remember anything else, but you remember that cornfield scene because it's so graphic and just so brutal to watch. But with that being said, this movie has a lot of other good things to offer as well. You have excellent performances. Robert De Niro, Sharon Stone, and Joe Pesci, all three of them turn in A-plus performances. De Niro, he's good in everything he's in up to this point. And of course, Casino marked the final collaboration between Scorsese and De Niro until this year, 2019, with the upcoming Irishman film. But De Niro in this movie, he plays a character called Sam Rothstein, who has a connection to the mob, who is also the figurehead of all the Las Vegas casinos. I love De Niro's character in this movie. He's fantastic. He kills it like he always does. I just like the character of Sam. I like how he just micromanages every little single thing, and he has all his casinos running like a well-oiled machine. Seeing the slightest flaw, he will take care of it instantly. And then you have the introduction of Sharon Stone's character Ginger, and at first they have her. There's like that bond between them, but we go to learn that Ginger is nothing but a junkie prostitute who is sleeping around with a character played by James Woods. And we also see that, there's other things, and not only that, we see a lot of scenes where Sharon Stone's character is just doing a whole bunch of shady shit to the point where she kidnaps a daughter that she and Sam have and does drugs in front of her, which is just despicable. And we just see that marriage deteriorate. Parallel to that, we also see the relationship between Sam and Nikki deteriorate. Now, Sam and Nikki have been friends 30 years prior to the events that take place in Casino, and once they get to Casino, that's where their friendship slowly starts to deteriorate. Nikki starts sleeping around with Ginger behind Sam's back. Sam becomes growingly paranoid about Ginger and about everything that's happening to him, and that just deteriorates, and that's when everything really starts to slowly crumble around to the point where Sam has to go on TV just to combat the feds about their takeovers, about their investigation of the casinos and all the mafia and all the mob business that's been going on. It goes on around there. So all that stuff is really well handled. I like it a lot. You have a good supporting cast as well. You have a lot of memorable faces. Don Rickles has an appearance in this movie. Plays the character of Billy, which is nice. For all you movie critic fans, Joe Bob Briggs has a small appearance in this movie, which is freaking awesome. So this movie has a lot of nice little cameos peppered throughout, which is great stuff. Like I said, the story for this movie is good, but I think it's not as good as Goodfellas. Now, like I said, Casino is a remake of Goodfellas, but to me, Goodfellas is a much better movie. It's a stronger movie. It has a stronger story. It has a more interesting story than Casino does. For me personally, I think Casino runs maybe 30 minutes too long, and if you trim those 30 minutes out, trim a little thing, trim some stuff here and there, and Casino could be a more efficient movie. I think it runs on way too long, and I think there's moments where it kind of drags a little bit. I mean, the movie goes at a relatively fast pace. You still get those moments where it's like where it drags, and you're like, you could have trimmed some of this off, trim a little bit of that off. There are certain characters that appear that the movie just, doesn't really do a whole lot with them. They're just there. So, condense some of those characters, trim some of the body fat off. This movie could have been much more efficient. Still not better than Goodfellas, but I think it would have been if it was tightened up a little more, it would have been more efficient. But for what it is, I still like it. From an acting standpoint, it's on point. From an overall story standpoint, it's well told. Martin Scorsese's direction is picture perfect. The cinematography is glorious. Production design is fantastic. They really captured the era with the costumes, the cars, the sets of Las Vegas, and how they present it on film is glamour. They give it that glamorous look to it. And once we see the inner workings of everything, we just see how detailed everything was during that time. And I give this movie a lot of credit for that attention to detail. Scorsese also brought that attention to detail with Goodfellas when he made that as well. So Scorsese's attention to detail in this movie works perfectly, and the characters work the way they should work. Everyone pretty much gets their own comeuppance once this movie hits its end. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Casino. Overall, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. I like this movie. I prefer Goodfellas more. I think Goodfellas is perfect, but I like Casino for what it is. So anyway, if you guys like Casino, let me know in the comment sections down below. If you prefer Casino to Goodfellas or vice versa, also let me know in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.